there.
Hello, thank you for tuning in
Yes, friend, we have much to unpack.
and unravel.
So we're going to get started, but before we get started, we'll see you on the other side.
That's what they wanted. I tell them like this, say, yes, sir. That's what they wanted. It's still.
Oh, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
we
yes,
are
yes.
happy to have you here with us, and we hope that you have been enjoying our segments here on Black Girl Tea. And today's topic we're talking about.
Oh, Jesus, we talking about voting,
Oh,
friend.
wow. Our presidential candidates. Well, we don't have a lot to choose from, and I think this election is gonna be kind of difficult, if I can use that word.
It is.
Yeah.
So we're not going to hold back on this. As we do here on our channel, you guys know we hop into things that are very uncomfortable
Right.
within the body of Christ. So we're going to get started with that today. And friend, I want to start with celebrities telling us not to vote.
Yeah, hold your vote. Is
Hold
what
your
they're
vote.
saying.
So what are your thoughts on that, friend?
Wow, I think given the two options that we have, and you either vote Democrat or Republican, or independent, but the two main options that we have Biden or Trump.
Yes.
And I think people are torn because nobody really wants Trump in office. If I'm correct, nobody really wants Trump in office because of some things that he said, and he's getting worse and worser by the day. And then there's Biden, and I think the big thing came when he said, "You're not black if you don't vote for me." And I think it caused uproar. So some people found that to be offensive, but I wasn't really offended by it.
Absolutely. I wasn't offended by it. I've heard a lot in my 50 years. And so, to be called, some names by the president.
Yeah.
Um,
Because Trump has said worse.
he said worse.
Yeah.
And he's said things to people that are not white Americans. And so we're having to, these are diverse times. We're having to weigh what we're going to do when we go to the ballots, to the polls. So with that being said, as celebrities, I would think that you use your platform for more than just saying don't vote, because there were people, our grandparents and their great grandparents that fought, that marched for us to have a right to vote, and for you to be a millionaire and to say don't vote for people who
You
don't have
agree with it.
millions.
Right.
And so the things that happen aren't going to affect you as much as they will. Those votes, those policies, they aren't going to affect you as much as they would the regular citizen,
Right.
the regular civilian. It's just not going to. So I think that's very careless. I think that is very selfish for a celebrity to use his or her platform to say don't vote. It's easy for you to sit in your 10, 15, 20, $60 million home. And by no means am I throwing shade because God has blessed them, but I am saying that when you use your voice, make sure you're using your voice to help the people and not set the people back.
Right. Because my thoughts were, okay, and majority of their audience, and let me make this pointer here, not all celebrities, but there were a few that came out and said hold your vote because they are not impressed with our current nor Biden, who is running against him.
Yeah.
And when I heard them say hold your vote, my thought was, what will happen knowing that the majority of your audience is African American? My thought was, what would happen if the African American community holds their vote? What would happen?
Right.
And what I think would happen, I don't want to see to happen. And it's even gone as far as they're talking about the electoral votes and the Democratic Party still not winning, and how they have it rigged about paper ballots, and so there's a lot of issues and controversy around voting. However, as you stated, we had to fight for this right to vote. So the all-American thing for us to do in honor of those people that did fight for this right would be for us to exercise our right to vote. And I think really people are torn between who to vote for, because if I can say this, we know who we don't want to be in office.
Everybody don't feel the same way, friend.
But majority. After what's been going on, and our current president trying to wage a war on Americans,
right?
A lot of people know who they don't want in office,
Right.
but people don't know who they do want, or we have a slim choice. We don't really have a choice.
Right. We're torn.
Right.
You know what? I think that this is the presidential election that's a big thing for us to vote and exercise our rights, but it's also big for us to vote for, to be aware when it comes to the House and Congress, to do those voting too, because guess what? We have shady people on both sides of the aisles. And so we're needing to be more vigilant and doing our research for the candidates that we want in office, and let us not keep putting career politicians back in that, they are either they went in wealthy or they became wealthy whilst a little bit of Elizabethan, whilst they have been in office.
Right.
And so we need to be mindful of that and just really do our due diligence in making sure we get people that have a voice and have a heart for not just white Americans or black Americans, but all Americans.
Right. I kind of think that mainly where we are falling short as it relates to voting is educating ourselves.
Right.
Really knowing our candidates, even as it relates to judges in the land. Because a lot of times, I'm going to speak for myself, I get that ballot and I don't know who these people are. I don't know what they stand for. I don't know anything about these people. So I have made it one of my top priorities that when it's time for us to vote, that I do try and go out and get the list and get the information on the people that I'm voting for. Because there's been times I've been stuck in the booth Christmas tree. Because I'm like, I don't know who these people is. But I thought to myself that this time when they give me the ballot, because I'm not really sure who I really, really, really want to be president. I mean, I know who I want to be president, but they can't run again. I think I would just put little Daryl on the ballot. Can you just write a name in?
My name is Daryl.
Oh goodness! But for me, I want a new. I want new. I don't want to go in the same direction that we've been going. So I know for sure that I'm not going to change my mind about that.
You know what? I think that we just really have to be deliberate when we go to the polls. And for years, I've been researching the candidates and even the bills that are going to be passed, because a lot of us don't understand, and maybe some of us do, so I won't speak for everybody. But there have been times where I thought a bill had one thing in there, and then when you read the bill, really the meat of the bill, you see that it has a whole bunch of stuff in there that don't align with my Christian beliefs. And I'm like, no, I'm voting against marijuana, the marijuana bill. So, and I use that as an example. But you really have to look at the bills when you're voting. And it's more than just it's all of that.
Everything.
So you have to look at their voting records when it comes to city council, when it comes to the House and the Senate. You have to really look at the person that you want to be your voice. We only get one chance each voting cycle to really look at the person, and then they're in there. So they're in there those couple of years.
Right.
And so if we don't do our due diligence on the front side, on the latter side, we may regret the choice that we made just by our lack of,
educating ourselves.
Which
I think is a big part of what's going on now.
Right.
On the front end, it looked good, or people chose certain people just to be choosing them. And now on the back end, we're seeing that backlash, and we're seeing how difficult it is to have certain laws passed to protect certain people.
Right.
So we're actually living in that day and age now. Right now, we're living in it now, where we're trying to figure out, why is this happening? And it's because of the people that we have elected to put in office. So how to trump some of the inequalities that are going on in this day and age. Our best bet is to vote. So with that being said, now is not the time
to not vote,
to withhold your vote.
Right.
This is a critical season, and I really believe that our votes are required. So, now is not the time to withhold your vote.
So we're in the midst of really racism at its highest right now. We're seeing protests and some rioting and some other things that go along with protests. Some good and some bad. We're seeing the heart of Americans now as it relates to racism. So with that being said, there are so many laws on our local books and our state and local books that these laws have been around 60, 70, 80 years. And they can be as simple as, which this may seem absurd, but it's a lot of laws, state laws that are like this. You can't marry your first or your second cousin. You can't. Why are those laws still on the book? Why are the laws that you can't jaywalk on the moon on a cloudy, rainy day? Why are those laws still on the book? And I'll even go one further. Why is there a law? Why aren't there laws for lynching on the books?
Right, and which we have now that's into play, where one of the persons, and I cannot think of his name, he's voting against it to make lynching.
Rand Paul.
Rand Paul, that's his name. He won't vote for it.
Of course not.
He won't, But I did hear something the other day. Attorney Ben Crump was speaking, and he said there are two justice systems in America. One is for Caucasian people, and the other is for
everybody else.
Mainly African Americans. So with that being said, some of these systems and laws that they have into play are different for certain people of color. And that is what the big fight is about now. It's just equality.
Really, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And even with the laws that are in place, you and I could go into the same judicial system, and you could have money and I cannot. And our sentences would be different for the same crime.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that going on. But again, it goes back to how can we, now that we're in the midst of trying to right 400 years worth of wrong, we're fresh in the middle of this. Our votes count.
Yeah.
We need to get some old laws off the books. We need to have some new laws implemented on the books, both local government and federally. In order to do those things, we have to vote the right people in.
Right. And not only vote the right people in, that is a big factor, but really my heart's desire is to see more people of color in some of those places.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there needs to be more African American judges, more African American in the Senate, in the House. Even if we could even see another black president, you know. So even with the new generation that's coming up, the millennials, I really encourage education. I encourage them to do things that, you know, maybe your father, your grandparents or whatnot did not do. African American judges and, you know, African American mayors and, you know, just the whole nine. We need to see more people of color in these places.
You know what? I'll even say that we need to see more minorities, period, across the board. More minorities across the board. And I believe that if it starts with one race, then others will be able to get in the door too.
Right.
But because it's been closed so much, we have, for lack of a better phrase, we have a good old boy system in place.
Right.
And a lot of these seats and government positions have been locked in by older, and this is statistical, this is not me being racist, by older white men.
Yes. That old money.
Right. And their belief system is old, just as old as they are.
Yeah.
They don't believe in equality.
Right. Because even with the Emancipation Proclamation, Declaration of Independence, we really weren't considered to be full human.
No.
You know, and I think some of them still, they still look at that. They still consider that. So it's been a fight for us really to see equality and things that are happening now. I never would have thought that I would have personally saw in all of my 43 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. You know, when MLK did his march and when Rosa Parks did her thing on the bus and Harriet Tubman, I thought that was it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, they've done that. We've won that war, you know, but now in 2020, 2020, can I just get a chance to breathe? Because I promise you, it's like we have not had a chance to breathe in 2020. It's so many things going on. And even I was thinking the other day, nobody has even had a chance to mourn.
No. I think because everything is coming so fast at us, and we're having to operate in that real time in like warp speed. We're having to address those issues, and there hasn't been a grieving or a mourning point.
Right. Because it's like one thing after
another.
From a pandemic to a persecution, and then you have a president that says whatever he wakes up in the morning and feels like tweeting. He just gets up and tweeted, and then the whole day is in an uproar about something he said. You know, so it's a lot.
So, have you had conversations with your voters in your family, your children about?
I have one new voter, and I have, which is my son, and I encouraged him. I said, you know, you really need to vote this year. And I want him to do his own research.
Right.
I don't want to give him my opinion.
Right.
You know, I want him to do his own research and come up with his own conclusion of who he's gonna vote for. Because this will be his first year voting. So, you know, I just want him to do his. But I'm pretty sure that he probably already has an idea.
Right.
You know, of who he thinks should or should not be our next president.
So do you see a lot on Facebook, there's a division on social media, not just Facebook, but there's a division on social media as it relates to the current climate that we're in and this political, because we're like 6 months, not even, we're less than 6 months, we're like 5 months away from the election. And so with the pandemic being, still in the midst of, there hasn't been a lot of, election campaign on the road type of thing. Everything just kind of stopped. And so now that is starting to move again, because guess what? I think the thought process is that if they can go out and protest, I can go out and have my conventions, okay? Because ain't nothing wrong with the people. Some of them had their masks on and some of them do not.
Right,
so they don't care about the corona, so we're going to get back on the trail or whatever. But do you see the division in just in the social media community as it relates to, Democrat or Republican? Do you see that?
Yeah.
And even in the midst of that, you have racism.
Right. And you know what? I want to address a big stigma that we have. Is that all blacks vote Democrat?
Yes, they don't.
That is the
They don't.
that is the farthest from the truth. That is not
Right.
And most of us, we try to vote, not all, but most of us, we try to vote closest to the candidate that best fits or matches our beliefs.
Right, exactly.
Right. And not all Caucasian people are Republicans.
That's true.
It's not based, come on people. It's not based on your skin
Right.
color. It has nothing to do with it. Listen, main two things that have to do with your political party. A, your beliefs, and B, your tax bracket. Basically. So that's just one of the stigmas that I see. People automatically think, oh, black people, and I think that's just been generational.
Yeah.
Black people vote Democrat. That is totally not the
That's
the
true.
case.
That's true.
Yeah.
There are a lot of black conservatives. I have a few of them in my family. So,
Yeah.
but with that being said, I think that I've always voted for candidates, like you said, that best align with my belief system. Coupled with the fact that if Colin Powell ran, I would have voted for him. Just because he embodied the same belief system that I have. And so I don't vote down the ticket for Democrat or Republican. I vote for who best aligns with me.
Right.
I've always done
right.
that.
And for you to know that, of course, you have to do your research
Right.
and be educated on the candidates, right? But as far as Democrat and Republican, what were you taught to vote?
I wasn't taught to vote either way.
Okay.
I wasn't.
Okay.
I knew my grandparents were Democrats. I was taught to vote for who was going to save the black race. That's what my grandmother used to say. And it just so worked out when I started voting. I was a freshman in college and I did my research. So I knew that when Jesse was running for to be the Democrat candidate, I was like, oh, I was so excited. So I did research and it just fit. It just so happened that during that time and during that era that I was aligned more with the Democrat Party.
Right.
But it hasn't always been that way.
Well, me personally, I think most African Americans are taught to vote Democrat.
Because it's supposed to be for the people.
Right. And in my own personal opinion, my own personal experience, we were taught to vote Democrat. And mainly low income or poor blacks, that is what they're taught, to vote Democrat. And they believe that this Democrat Party is going to do more for the lower income people around. So we were taught, to vote Democrat. Yeah. So
So, friend, From what I'm hearing, you'll be voting in November. You're not going to
Absolutely.
withhold your vote
I
because
will not.
Jamie said.
I will not.
Jamie Foxx said don't vote.
I will not hold, and he wasn't the only one. We have a few that agree with him. I definitely believe that our votes matter. I definitely believe that. I definitely believe that we must vote, and it is our right to vote. And the way things have been going, at any given time, that could be taken away from us.
You're right.
So while we have that opportunity,
Let's
while we
exercise it.
have the opportunity to exercise our vote, and not only vote, but while we have the opportunity to exercise ourselves to educate ourselves, we need to take those opportunities, because at one time, me as a black woman or us as blacks could not do that. So that is something that I'm very passionate and strongly about. And even every time I walk in a voting place, I think to myself, at one point in time, I would not be able to do this.
Right.
So it is very important that we do vote. Do not withhold your vote. Remember, some of these celebrities got money, so it doesn't matter who is the president, they're gonna be okay.
Exactly.
You have to vote for yourself, you have to vote for your families, you have to vote for your communities, and so we really have to exercise that right to vote. So yes, I will be voting in November. I wouldn't care if Luke Skywalker was on the ballot. I would be voting in November. I don't care if the slogan is "Don't stop, get it, get it." I don't know, friend. Does voting and Christianity mix?
You know what? Again, I wholeheartedly think it does. I think it does. I think that when when I go into the polls and the candidates, if they don't line up, which most of the time they don't, most of the time, if we have to be really honest, they don't. So then I just pray and have God lead me to the right person. Has the flesh gotten in my voting at times? Yes.
Right.
Will it get in here on November? Probably so.
Right. Because we have a lot of laws and amendments that may not match up to
Right.
our Christian beliefs. The issue with the abortion, most Christians would not agree with that. And I'm also going to take it back to when there was the Obama administration. During that administration, a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? They opened up the law for same-sex marriage.
Right.
During that administration. So, and not to say that these people aren't Christians, however, when they get into office, they pass certain laws that go against our Christian beliefs.
Right.
Yeah. So, we wrestle with that. We struggle with that.
We do. And then you never know the measure or the heart of the politician until they get into where he or she is now duly elected, and then you see them for their true colors. So sometimes as a Christian, we won't see that until after they're already in office to say, wait, I don't believe in that. I don't agree with that. And by then it's already too late. You just know that when it comes time to vote for them again, that you don't.
Right. So, but isn't there a saying or a clause that you don't mix church and state?
It is, but Republicans only use that when it's they only use that when it benefits them.
Only Republicans use that terminology?
I think more so than Democrats.
Okay.
I think more so. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. But I think in most churches you can't talk about politics. Like the pastor can't get up there and say, y'all vote blase squads. I mean, they can hint around it, but they just can't come out and say it.
Not every pastor. Now there have been pastors that will tell their
But
congregation.
are they supposed to do that?
Well, that's subjective.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It would it be wrong for them to do it? It just depends on, you know what I'm saying? It depends on who you ask, because I believe in their eyes that they see themselves as the shepherd, and so that they are giving you good counsel on what they believe aligns with Christian faith.
Okay. I actually thought you couldn't mix the two.
No, that's as it relates to politics, not as it relates to inside of the body of Christ. You can talk about it all day long, because there's no law.
Okay.
But it is vice versa.
Vice versa. Okay, it's vice versa. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So, well, we want to encourage you to get out and exercise your vote. There is a lot of information out there. Make sure. Listen, you can Google anything. I'm serious. You can Google anything. You can educate yourself on anything. So make sure that you do use your own voice, and make sure that you vote. Do your research, and you vote for the person that you think is the best person for the job at hand.
And we have enough time between now and November. We have enough time to research, you know, everybody that's running for offices, including judges, which that is, I think you touched on it earlier, friend, that is an office that we tend to overlook. And judges these are the same judges that hand down stiff sentences to minorities, that overturn a lot of stuff. So we need to make sure that we are voting in or removing judges that have been on the bench for 900 years and have that mentality that that they're not so much for reforming someone, but putting people away for life for lesser offenses. Right. It just needs to be equal. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we are voting in judges that are going to help every American and not just some Americans.
Right. Absolutely. Do your research, people. Millennials, educate yourselves, because I would definitely love to see more of you in those seats.
Yes, most definitely. And I will say this, as far as celebrities, is that we have to, help me Holy Spirit, we have to stop making celebrities idols. And when we do that, we listen to them before we listen to the voice of God. And so they will draw us away from the voice of God. And so we don't want that. And that just goes back to the don't vote. And I said Jamie Foxx's name, but I just used him randomly. There are many people who are saying, no, stop, don't do that. But it's just really making sure that we are doing what is best for us, because if you don't do it now, we don't want, especially millennials, if you're withholding your votes now, you'll be more apt to do that 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And we don't want you to grow up, have your children doing the same thing. And so we're wanting you to just be the best you can be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where the change is going to come. Change will come with voting.
Yes.
So make sure you go out and vote.
Yes. So, friend, that was good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we upload all of our new content. And we just thank you. We appreciate you for all our new members that are subscribing and that are watching our new content as we upload it every Sunday. We love you and we appreciate you.
Until next time, we'll see you here on Black Girl Tea.